Tonight, one of the highest holy days of the Jewish calendar begins. Rosh Hashannah is the birthday of the world. So this is the day we say happy birthday to the world. And this is the day that we join our Jewish brothers, sisters, neighbors, cousins in acknowledging that there are times of the year when reflection is invited. One of those times is a birthday, and I just had a birthday, and birthdays are kind of like a little rise in the terrain. So you're standing up a little higher, and you look around you, and you can see where you've been, and you can see where you're going a little bit, and you evaluate. You ask yourself, am I where I thought I would be? Am I the kind, generous, intelligent person that I thought I would be by this age? And then you see the answer and you're like, ugh. I would love to be a kind of person who uses my time exquisitely and who never waste any time, and even when I'm thinking about nothing, it leads to burgeoning creativity, and I eat intelligently, and I use my money intelligently, and I speak to my family intelligently and kindly and calmly without fail, and I am patient with the difficult people in my family. And so you take inventory, as the 12-step program says, we take a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. So you look back at everything you've done, and you look back at everything that's happened to you, and you think, what part of what happened to me is my doing, and what part is just life happening to me? And who do I need to say I'm sorry to? And who do I need to say thank you to? And what do I want to focus on this year, and what do I want to cast off? And so the birthday of the world, our Jewish neighbors are in synagogue at the high holy days thinking about asking forgiveness for sins and casting off sins in your life. And this is a time, Jewish teaching says, to think about sins, because I can tell you're thinking about your sins too right now. If you don't have any sins before you're like 23, right? I don't think so. Not thinking about sins, just having fun. Yeah, so this is the time our Jewish neighbors are thinking about sins, and Yom Kippur next Sunday is time to, or next Saturday. Anyway, it's a week from Rosh Hashannah, when you ask forgiveness for real, seriously, deeply. And Rosh Hashannah is a time when you start evaluating. You're actually supposed to start like a month early, but who does that? We do it right when we're supposed to, right when the deadline is. And the reason for this time being a good time to reflect and to ask forgiveness is because, in Jewish teaching, God is suffused with mercy and kindness this time of year. And so why not take this time of year to approach God for forgiveness? And the Jewish teaching talks about how usually going to talk to God is like going to the king. And you put on your best clothes, and you do your best presentation, and you memorize every word, and you're very careful about your manners. And this time of year, they say, it is as if the king has left the palace and is walking through the field. And you can just come up to the king in your grubbies and in your day-to-day self and stumble through some kind of a conversation with the king. And that even if it's awkward and clumsy, that it's okay, because the king is in a mood right now. The king is suffused with grace and mercy. And so this is a good time for self-reflection, because if you're going to make changes, I find, You're going to make changes feeling that the hammer is hovering over your head, ready to come down, makes you kind of rigid and braced and like this. It's not a good time to make changes. And that a good time to make changes is when you're feeling safe and surrounded and loved and confident that somebody's got you. That's a better time to make changes than when you're full of fear. So we approach the universe with a sense of taking our inventory at this time of year. That's what I'm inviting you to do. And you picked up a pebble when you came in the door, or if you didn't, you can pick it up on the way out. And this is for a ritual that is ancient, probably more ancient than Judaism. It's a ritual called tashlik, which means casting off. And what you do is you take everything that you want to get rid of in your life, every part of you, not like I want to get rid of that friend or this job. It's just more like in you, qualities that you'd like to cast off or events that you'd like to stop dwelling on. And you infuse them into this rock or into some pieces of bread or fruit, or you just stand there and empty your pockets into some water that's running. So we're going to take this pebble and carry it. You're invited to. You don't have to, because we're Unitarian Universalists. And I invite you to take it and put it in your pocket. Someone at the first service said, maybe we should put it in our shoe. And I'm like, that's a little too. In your pocket is fine. And let it remind you that there are things that you might want to cast off. And then when you're ready, you throw it into a body of moving water, not your swimming pool, not a fishbowl, but water that's moving, a lake or a river. We've got plenty of those. And let it go. Sometimes people just stand at the lake or at the river and empty their pockets. You know, an old mint lifesaver covered with lint and a piece of paper with a phone number on it and a dime, just so you can start the new year fresh. So we're casting off the things that don't make sense for us anymore. And in Unitarian Universalism, we call them things we wish we hadn't done, things we regret, things that were not creative, life-affirming, communitarian. Maybe we call them things that were self-centered and anti-communitarian, apathetic. We don't usually call them sins. But we do feel guilt as Unitarian Universalists because we are always trying to make ourselves better people, and we're always, getting better, but not as quickly as we wanted to. And sometimes we have what they call in the South, a backslide. When we just put our face in our hands and go, that's so not who I wanted to be. Now I've got a mess to clean up. And we have little sins. In Unitarian Universalism, we have big ones too, but I'm going to talk about the little ones because this is not a hellfire and brimstone sermon. And God is infused with grace and mercy during this time, and why not us too? So little sins are, when we throw something that's recyclable in the trash, or when we throw something that's not recyclable into the recycling. Or when we post something on our Facebook page that turns out to have been a hoax and we were duped as well and we feel stupid. Or when we put the apostrophe and it's in the wrong place. And we have that sense of scalding humiliation. Oh, it should have been Y-O-U apostrophe R-E, not Y-O-U-R. And we mean well. And we're good people, and we try really hard. But we also tend to be blind to our own blind spots, and we also tend to forgive ourselves or make excuses for ourselves while beating ourselves up. It's a very odd combination, and this is not just Unitarian Universalists. This is human beings. We go, oh, that was so bad, I'm so stupid, but it was because I was tired, and I didn't get enough sleep, and I was on medication, or I'd forgotten my medication. So this is the time of year when we are called to imagine ourselves taking an inventory and to have a pebble in our pocket that reminds us this is going to be cast off from our lives. What do we want to cast away to start a new chapter fresh. So we look at ourselves clearly and we remind ourselves that even though it's way more fun to judge other people, judging ourselves, this is the time for that. And we're called to see other people with soft eyes. I'm a very judgy person sometimes, not about any of y'all, but about strangers. And if my blood sugar is low, or if I haven't slept, or if I've slept on the floor of the airport the night before, it's worse. And I was in an airport this summer, and I was looking at somebody and thinking, I can't believe she cut in line. And I thought, oh, Meg, stop with the judging. And I was like, I'm going to stop judging right now. Oh, my God, I can't believe that. And it was just like, you're doing it again. And after 5 or 6 times of noticing, I decided just to notice instead of judging me. I remember one of my spiritual teachers, whose name is Byron Katie. She said to someone who had told her, my parents judge me and they shouldn't. Y'all are so brilliant, you get that right away. He was about 21 or so. She looked at him, she looked at him and she goes, sweetheart, humans judge. You live on earth now, so make yourself at home. There's a proverb in Hebrew, Kol Chatchalim Kashim, which means all beginnings are hard. There's a proverb in Russian, which I won't say in Russian because I don't speak Russian. It says, the first pancake is always a flop. Beginnings are hard. And when you're trying to change yourself, you do it clumsily. That's just how we do it. And we are at the beginning of a church year. And the beginning of the church year is the time of a stewardship canvas. And so we begin again, sometimes clumsily, because money brings out our clumsiness. Money is like a minefield of fears and secrets and doubts and all kinds of crazy thoughts from way before we were in charge of our own money. And so when you have a conversation with a peer at church, because we're asking each other about financial commitments, it's fraught and very emotional. And so what I want to say is, let's be gentle with ourselves and just be okay with it feeling really awkward when someone calls you that you don't maybe know and says, let's have a talk about how the church is going for you. And what I want to ask is that you have that awkward conversation, and it might turn into a nice experience, or it might just be awkward. But then we can begin together because we've looked at almost the scariest thing there is. Will the church be able to go for another year? Will my finances be okay? Will we hear from the congregation that something is not working that we thought was working? We've been making a lot of changes, and Rosh Hashannah is a good time for the church to evaluate too, and to take inventory of what we're doing well and what we're not doing well, because we're doing so many things. And it sure would be a lot more safe to just kind of float along. But it wouldn't be doing our mission, and it wouldn't be satisfying. And so what we're doing is taking some leaps. We've taken a leap last spring to provide Sulma Franca with sanctuary, and Carolyn mentioned that. We got a call, and the board decided, I told some of you all in church that next Sunday, I talked to the board about it that very night, because there was a regularly scheduled board meeting. And I was thinking, we can't do this. We're rushed. We're pushed. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know how to do this exactly. We don't have every step, because I'm a firstborn Virgo, raised Presbyterian, and now I'm in charge. And so I'm just like, no, we have to have a plan, and I have to be in control. And after a long discussion and beautiful wrestling and soul searching, the board was very encouraging about, let's think about doing this. This is our mission, and let's step ahead. And even though some of the boards had I have my friends from South Carolina. He's actually from the mountains of North Carolina. He says trepidatious. We were trepidatious about this. I know that's not a word. But we leapt anyway, and we made new friends of Sulma and her partner Gabby, and she has been a wonderful contributing member of the community. And we had a great and rare victory with her as she was granted a stay of removal in order to get her visa stuff processed, and we still have our fingers crossed for her. We're still allies for her, standing by to see what she might need in terms of the process of getting her visa. And we made new friends with St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church, who decided to stand with us as allies of Sulma and her process and this whole sanctuary effort that we were trying to do. And the minister called me at home a couple of times and said, you guys moved really fast on this, and you saw the prophetic moment and you seized it. And I'm preaching about you guys this Sunday. And I'm going to say to my Presbyterians, the Unitarian Universalists saw the prophetic moment and leapt and seized it, and they'll figure out how to do it as they do it. And we were sitting there trying to figure out how to do it, and we missed it. And he has been ministering to me while we do this, and their support has been very encouraging to all of us, I think. The congregation has been growing pretty fast here, and that is a delight. And we have had a capital campaign, and we're starting to meet with the architect, McKinney York, that we've chosen, and we're working with them. And as I told some people last night, we broke it to them how much money we had to work with, and we handed them Kleenex while they cried. And we're going to figure out together, and with your input as well, what we can do with this money that we have and what we can't do, and how we're going to make a welcome table that's big enough for all of us with the kitchens and bathrooms that work and stuff. And so we're going to be talking together a lot about awkward things, what we want our home to look like. There may be fights. It's okay. Beginnings are hard. We have to give ourselves permission not to do it perfectly. And I may be just speaking to myself. We have wonderful youth groups going. We have an RE program that is engaging the children. We have chalice circles that are starting up. Chalice circles are small groups of 5 to 12 people where you have deeper conversations than you can have on a Sunday morning. And they're standing by, the religious education folks, in the gallery at a table, ready to sign people up for chalice circles if you would like to be in one. So take a look for them in the gallery after the service. Our float was the best thing in the Pride Parade. The best float, thanks to Bev Larkin, who built it, and her helpers. We were proud of our pride. And this land is a certified wildlife habitat, and we have a gray fox who's living on our property and pooping in the playground. But that's what they do, those wildlife people. Because of a bequest from the will of Martha Leipziger, who was a member here for many years, we were able to offer a free breakfast before the first service. And so we have a community of about 70 people who come regularly and have breakfast together before the first service and then come to service. I think they always come. I'm not sure. Our music program is simply the best. We're doing a lot of things right, and we're trying to take good risks. We are putting up some visual evidence of the values we would like to espouse, and that is a risk for us. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put up a rainbow flag that people will see as they come in to the property. And we're putting up a banner that says, "Standing on the side of love, Black Lives Matter," above it. And yeah. And some people apparently look at those 3 words and think that they're saying, "Please kill police officers." And that is crazy and mean, and a good way of derailing a whole good movement. And so I would like for us to have conversations, and I'm already getting emails from some of you all about the plan for the banner, concerns and affirmations. And so I look forward to those conversations, because we don't all have to agree to be in the same room. It's okay to disagree. We do it according to our Healthy Relations Covenant with respect and curiosity. There are lots of things that First You could do better. And so what I'd like to do as our Canvas kickoff is, after this service is over, I would love for you all to go have a slice of pizza in Housen Hall, which is our fellowship hall, and take some Post-it notes and post. Here are good experiences I've had here. Here is something I'm proud of that this church is doing. And here's something I wish this church could look at doing differently. So we'd like to have just a beginning of some feedback that'll get your thoughts going for when you meet with your canvasser. Your comments will be read by actual human beings. So keep that in mind as you make your comments. And they will be gathered and given to me, and I will keep them like a stone in my pocket, reminding me of things that this church can do better and cast off, and the things that this church should spend more time on, and the things that this church is doing very well, and appreciate that so much from you all. And I hope this church home continues to be filled with nourishment, transformation, comfort, and challenge for all of us as the year goes on.